Hello, my name is Stephen Redman and welcome to another episode of Pastor's Library. This is the channel where we talk about everything to do with theology books, particularly books that might be on a reading list for a seminary course, for your bachelor's or master's degrees, or perhaps simply books that have caught your attention on the Christian bookshop's Bible shelf, or perhaps in your vicar or pastor's office. Today, as always, we're going to talk about something which I think would be helpful to us. If you do like it, we just ask you to give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Please make sure you've subscribed and you've clicked on the bell. That way you'll know when we release another episode. And if you've got any comments to make, please leave them below. We do try to answer everyone. So today I want us to talk about my favourite commentaries on the book of Psalms. Now, Psalms can be an awkward book or books to find a good commentary on, partly because they can be quite expensive. I mean, there are 150 Psalms, and if you think of the length of Psalm 119, there's quite a lot of material in the Psalms, and so comments tend to be longer, and so the number of pages typically in a Psalms commentary can be quite a lot. And if you're looking in particular for an academic or technical commentary, then that might actually be a real lot of pages. So today I'm going to go through ones that are particularly interested me, and I think we'll try and finish off with my top 3 recommendations. But all of the commentaries I'm going to mention today have value. I don't think there's any of these that I wouldn't recommend to some degree, but the earlier ones on the list I wouldn't recommend as much as the ones we get to at the end. So today it's Psalms, and we're going to start with interpretation. Now, I have the full set of interpretation commentaries, and in many ways they are ones that I consult less often. You can tell that by the fact how high they are up on the wall in my library, because I don't go up there very often. But this one, which is by James Mays, I have to say I do find it a lot more helpful than some of the other interpretation ones. And particularly if you see this used or reduced, this might be a good commentary to read. However, here's the warning: this was published in 1994, which means in 2023, this is starting to come near to the end of its useful shelf life for quoting in essays. Now, I make a big deal about this because it may not affect you if you're preaching or just studying up on a book, but if you are having to quote in essays, you really want to focus most of your quotations from the last 30 years. So whereas this is a worthwhile book for study, for pastors, just to read, yes, it's good, but the 457 pages which are crammed with useful information, are starting to date a little bit now. Now, here's another one that is unfortunately getting old. This is 1996, so, 3 years' time, this is going to be 30 years old. And this is part of the New Interpreter's Bible, which this is volume 4, and it includes commentaries on 1 and 2 Maccabees, Introduction to Hebrew Poetry, Job, and Psalms. So there's quite a lot packed in this volume, but amazingly there are over 550 pages on the Psalms, which is a lot, and it has a lot to say to us. Now, I actually really have liked this over the years, and I've found it to be more than helpful. I found it very accessible, and I think that's one of the things about the New Interpreters range, is they are quite readable. You can get quite carried away. This commentary is written by J. Clinton McCann Jr. I would imagine the junior is important. And this is a very worthwhile buy. Again, these interpreters' Bibles are a good value because whereas a single book might be sort of £45, something like that, they are ultimately packed with commentaries. And the New Testament ones are particularly good, but the Psalms one here I also think is worthwhile engaging with. Still on the realms of older commentaries now, the Word Biblical Commentary has been my go-to commentary for many years. It was the first commentary I ever bought on Psalms. It comes in 3 volumes. The first volume is by Peter Craigie, and it was published in 1983, which was the year I got married. And that means it's 40 years old when I'm filming this video. 378 pages takes us to Psalm 50. Then volume 2, which was published in 1990, so it's 33 years old, it's 579 pages, and it's been written by Marvin Tate. That's a good volume too. The third volume, which covers us all the way up to Psalm 150, is 342 pages, and this is also 40 years old, came out in 1983. And this is by the hugely popular commentator Leslie Allen. Frankly, I find very little I can ever criticise in what he writes. I really enjoy him. And these 3 volumes are technical. They are extremely deep. They go into every detail. I find them very, very helpful on every book of the Bible, but these Psalms volumes are very good indeed. And the only problem is that these are over the age for quoting in general. You know, you get away with the odd one, but if you've got 6 quotes on your essay and one of them is from this, I would suggest to you that's probably not good for your marking schedule. If you've got 20 books in your bibliography, then you'll be fine to include one. You know what I'm saying on this. Word also produced the Word Biblical Themes, and Leslie Allen did the volume on the Psalms in 1987, and that's 139 pages. And this is much more about an overview. It's much more about theological themes. It's useful in sermon preparation. It's also quite useful, actually, if you're producing things for sort of home groups. But again, these are great for what you might use in church, but not particularly top-notch now for essay quotations. And I would suggest to you, watch this space, because Zondervan have acquired the Word Biblical Commentary series, and Zondervan have got a whole programme of renewals and updates. And I'm led to believe that we may see the first volume in 2023, certainly 2024, no later than that. And we will see them rolling out over the next decade. And I would like to think that Zondervan will produce a much better laid out volume, and one that will be quotable for years to come. If they're as technical and as highly academic as the last series, then they will of course be excellent. The NIVACs are very popular. These are hefty volumes. Psalms comes in 2 volumes. This one, volume 1, is 2002, and it's 1,024 pages. Very compact, ideal for wedging a door open with, and a heavy door at that. These are very accessible, easy to engage with. They're aimed more at pastors or people who are lay preachers perhaps than anyone else. It's all about the application in these commentaries. I have to say that I found this volume and its sister volume to be excellent. Now, volume 1 is by Gerald Wilson, and it's good. Volume 2 is by Dennis Tucker and Jamie Grant, And I would say to you, this is better. This was published in 2018. It's 1072 pages, so again, it's a whopper. And of course, because of a lot of pages, and these are hardback books, they tend to be a little on the expensive side, but watch for offers. That would be my advice. I got these when they were on an offer, and offers do come up. What would I say about these? These are great for sermon preparation in particular, great when you're producing Bible studies. These are much more focused on the application. And one of my preaching buddies always tells me, remember, Stephen, it's all about the application. Although it isn't, of course, but the application is important. What is important is that we do make the Word of God relevant to our hearers. So these books are good. This one, 2018, really, it's bang up to date. And the other one is still well in date. So the NIVACs are a good series to consult. This is a fairly new one, 2008, 490 pages in the Two Horizons commentary series. Now, I've recommended these a number of occasions up to now because the Two Horizons series combine commentary with theological overview. And often you have to buy 2 books for that, but this is in 2 sections, commentary, then theological overview. It scratches 2 itches and it does it very, very well indeed. This is by Jeffrey Grogan. I have to say, I've been quite engaged with this volume. 490 pages, it's not insubstantial, but when you think about, let's call it 500 pages, shall we? When you think about 150 Psalms, and then after the commentary on 150 Psalms, you've got quite a number of pages on the theology of the Psalms, then it does give you a clue that actually there is not a lot of detail on each Psalm. If you were going to suggest that the theology is half the book, which it is, if you had 2 pages for each of the Psalms, you wouldn't have enough room. So I would suggest to you, basically none of these Psalms have got more than about a page in, but it is very helpful, and I do find it almost the obvious go-to volume, because you can look up a Psalm and it will give you headings, it will give you clear ideas, it will give you a few key points, and then you can look up the theology of the whole book as well. And I suppose this is not a detail commentary. Even at 490 pages, it is not a detailed commentary, but it is a good commentary. And I feel this does fill a hole in my bookshelf. It's sort of one volume, I can get it, I can work on it. If I need more detail, I go into other books. I'm now going to show you a 3-volume commentary. This is the Baker Academic Commentary on the Old Testament, Wisdom and Psalms. And this is 3 volumes by John Goldingay. I can get quite excited about John Goldingay on one book and then be slightly not bothered on the next, because he does have a tendency sometimes to be a little bit on the Calvinistic scale, and it comes through in his writings. But John Goldingay, whatever you think about him, is a true academic. He has worked seriously hard for many years, and his name is on the spine of so many books. He leaves us with a great legacy. And I don't think you can ignore this 3-volume work on Psalms. Volume 1 was published in 2006, 639 pages. And as with the subsequent volumes, it's got a great bibliography. This is the one to go to probably, or certainly one of the top ones to go to when you're looking for further reading. Goldingay offers you a great bibliography. He also offers a great glossary as well for key words, and that's well worth considering. These books are good hardbound books, black covers with this sort of overall maroony sleeve, and they look good on the shelf. Volume 2, 744 pages, published in 2007. In 2008, he brought out the final 812-page volume. And these are serious works. These are works that you can be enriched by. I wouldn't say that I would sit down and read one from cover to cover. But if I am studying a psalm or 3 or 4 psalms, I would definitely work through these. And I do commend them. But they are a tad expensive. The Baker academic commentaries often are. If we're going to talk about expensive though, this is where I get to my top 3. In third place, we have got expensive. This is the Hermeneia series. This is a 3-volume series on Psalms, and volume 1 is not yet out. It won't be long, I don't think, but it's on the way. Volume 2 came out in 2005, 556 pages. Volume 3, 2011, 712 pages. These are both by Frank Hosfield and Eric Zenger, and these are technical commentaries, highly academic commentaries. They have the beautiful layout of the typical Hermeneia commentary, hardbound, great matching covers, yellow spines for the Old Testament ones. What can I say about these? I'm really hoping I'm going to get volume 1 before long. I do find them to go to a different level than most other commentaries. If you are really looking at the text and wanting to know more, Hermeneia are very, very good on these. And I found that the spectrum of ideas and connections that the authors make is very worthwhile. These are books I thoroughly commend. But, as with the last lot, like I say, they're a bit expensive. So, I'm going to get to my final 2. I'm going to put this in second position. I could easily have put it in first. But this is the NICOT, the New International Commentary on the Old Testament. It's published in 2014. It's by Nancy de Clessay-Warford, Rolf Jacobson and Beth Tanner, and each one of them will deal with a psalm, and it shows at the bottom which one of them has signed it off. This is an academic commentary at 1,051 pages. This is about right for an in-depth volume. This has the typical NICOT or NICNT layout, which one can get very comfortable with. It's very, very easy to access, but it is an academic commentary. But I love this. I really do. I find this to be a great wealth of insight. I don't find this is telling me things that Hermeneia isn't telling me. I just find it slightly more direct. And Hermeneia is giving me a broader brush than the NICOT is. This is the straightforward exegesis of the text and is giving us a great insight into the words. In preparing for this video, I've read the same psalms in each one, and I've tried to sort of compare them in my head for pecking order. And I don't want to go into particular detail on any of these, other than to say, I suppose if you only had one book and you wanted a reliable series, the NICOTs are very, very good. And I would definitely put this ahead, for example, of the Baker ones. Even though the Baker one is 3 volumes, I actually prefer this. So, who will I put first? Well, you're probably going to say, well, Stephen, I'm surprised at you. The NICOT is absolutely brilliant, and it is. But I want to just highlight this 2-volume commentary to you, which is by David Thompson and Alex Varougis. This is the Psalms in the New Beacon Bible Commentary. Volume 1 was published in 2015. Volume 2's in 2020. I don't think there would have been quite the delay had it not been that David Thompson became quite ill and wasn't able to finish Volume 2, and he handed it over to Alex Fargreaves to finish. So there's some of David Thompson in there, but not all. Now, some people say this isn't as academic as the NIVAC, and in some ways I understand that. But let me tell you about this 318 and 462 pages. This commentary opens the word brilliantly. This is very well designed, the layout, the clarity of text on the page, highlighting, headings, subheadings. This is simple text management used to the fullness, so that you find it accessible, you find it yourself able to carry on reading. And I cannot recommend these enough. You know, I was looking at Psalm 103 in them earlier. They bring out all the salient points. And I think if you are a pastor just producing a teaching series or even just a single one-off preaching appointment, these are an excellent choice. They are paperback, but they are quite sturdy, and I have been using these now since the first volume came out in the early 2000s, and I really, really like these. I think David Thompson has a great insight. His summaries of key points and theological issues in the Psalms are brilliant, and there is a lot of detail in these two books. And I suppose it's the level of detail that goes into that sways me to say, actually, I think this is the most important commentary I have on the book of Psalms. Don't get me wrong, I don't want rid of any of the others. I'm not just going to manage with this one. But actually, these days, this is the commentary I look in first in the Psalms. So, that's my summary of the Psalms. I hope that's helped you. If you see any of these books on a good offer, then don't hesitate. They're all worthwhile. If you see a good deal on the NIVAC or on the New Beacon Bible Commentary, I would put those at top of my list for anyone. But the Hermeneia, which are expensive, they're worthwhile. They really are. And all of these books are something special to have on your bookshelf and will inform your preaching and teaching or your study. And of course, maybe your essays. So I hope that helps you. If it does, give us a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe and to click on the bell and leave a comment below. We would really love to hear from you. Until next time, goodbye and God bless. Bye.